I'm Sean Ferguson. I'm a professor in the composition area here at the Schulich School of Music of McGill University, where I'm the director of the Digital Composition Studios, which is where we are right now. I'm also the associate director of CIRMMT, where I'm responsible for coordinating artistic activities. The research theme group number 6, which is the expanded musical practice research group, is the research theme that centers on the artistic application of the research that goes on in CIRMMT. We feel very strongly at CIRMMT that the research that we do in audio and music should eventually find its way onto the concert stage. Of course, the artistic activities of CIRMMT don't exist just as a testing ground for the research, although that's part of it. It's also important activities just on its own. The artistic merit of these activities are significant in their own right. The expanded musical practice group is a highly interdisciplinary group. It's the area where artists are brought together with scientists and engineers to come up with new approaches to music making that involve technology and the research that goes on at CIRMMT in various ways. The individual members of this group, in fact, would not be able to carry out this research without some kind of collaboration from their colleagues. Just as an example, if I would like to compose a piece, as a composer, I would like to write a piece that uses new instruments that are developed, new gestural controllers for digital musical instruments. I'm not capable of developing the technology myself. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a music technologist. And so what's absolutely crucial for me is, of course, to have the collaboration with colleagues who are able to do this. There are members of the research axis, for instance, who specialize in gestural control of digital synthesis. And for instance, Marcelo Wanderley, who's one of the members of this research group. As well, a project like that requires someone who's an expert in digital synthesis, because the gestural controllers are used to control parameters of some kind of digital synthesis engine. And in this group, that's why we find, for instance, Philippe de Paul, who's an expert, of course, in digital synthesis, or Caroline Traube, who, as well as this is her field of expertise as well at the University of Montreal. We need to have performers who are able to bring their own expertise to the question of how to design these new musical instruments. We have, for instance, in this group right now, André Roy, who's a violist, but who's also had a lot of experience with string gestural controllers. He had a string quartet using entirely an electric string quartet, if you will, that used the Zeta violin or string controllers to control MIDI synthesizers. And then you need a composer who's going to write the pieces that use these new instruments. All these people together are required to create the experience that you would see finally on the concert stage. So even though the visible result of the activities of this group are concerts on stage, there's a lot that goes on behind the stage, behind the scenes, let's say, to create the technology and create the hardware and software that's required. So one of the unusual features of the Schulich School of Music, in fact, is that it's a kind of a combination of a very fine orchestral training program, a conservatory, if you will, with a research institution. And one of the benefits that we see at CIRMMT is that we have the ability to leverage the expertise of elite performers in the development of our research in various ways. One special feature of a lot of the work that we do here is the emphasis that it places on live performance, and this is in two different areas. Normally, we would talk about computer-based interactive live electronics, and this type of research, we are working with people who are playing their instruments, a cello or a piano or a percussion or something, and the sound of their instrument is captured by a microphone, sent in real time to a computer where it's transformed, maybe delayed, maybe turned upside down. I mean, anything that you can think of to do with sound, you can do in real time now using computers, and then it's re-injected back into the concert hall over an array of loudspeakers. We have a number of different projects in the expanded musical practice theme that deal with this area. One of them is a grant that on spatialization. It's the New Media Initiative of NSERC and the Canada Council for the Arts, and this is a grant that's geared towards the gestural control of spatialization in real time by performers in live electronics in this way. So, for instance, you might have a clarinetist whose movements would be due to sensors that are attached to the instrument or to the performer, would allow the performer to move their sound around in real time over, let's say, 24 loudspeakers, and thus control spatialization the same way that they're controlling their dynamics or their rhythm or their tempo, things like this. The other aspect is gestural control of digital synthesis, or what we call the creation of new digital musical instruments. And in this paradigm, we take advantage of the expertise of performers in the design of new musical instruments, which are what we call gestural control surfaces. So this might be something, really anything that allows you to capture the gestures that a performer is making, and these the data from these gestures is sent to a digital synthesis algorithm where different parameters, maybe the loudness or the pitch of it, what note is being produced, or the timbre of it, what kind of tone color the sound has, is being controlled in real time. And in this case, we have performers who might be a very fine cellist or a pianist or a percussionist, but who are playing instruments which are completely new, which aren't based on any kind of instrumental paradigm, but the goal is to create an expressive new musical instrument. In both of these cases, of course, a performer couldn't carry out this research on their own, but neither could a music technologist carry out this research on their own, because if you spend all day long working on a computer or with a soldering gun or an electronics laboratory or these types of things, aren't necessarily able to develop the expertise as a performer that's required to really evaluate the work that you're doing, the new instrument that you're making.